Hi there. So let's take a look at tables. Tables are a neat little thing, and I've got an example of a table here. Tables are how people will put data in neat little rows and columns so that you can see it, so you can take a look at it. A couple of you already included data in your website plans already. So when you build this, you're going to practice building this using your own data. Other people have used it to be able to put pictures on the right side of the page or in the middle of the page with information on either side of it. Either of those are good reasons to use tables. Tables are kind of neat. The first thing to understand about tables is tables have columns and they have rows. When I say a row, it's a cross, like the white here, and then it turns gray here. White, gray, etc. Right? Columns are the up and down part, like columns if you're holding up a building, right? So the columns are here, column, column, column. Now I'm going to click this right here, which says try it yourself. And this kind of thing, by the way, this is linked right here. This is this link right here in your assignment. And so when you see try it yourself, you see how the code looks. And we'll deal with the style later on. We're going to go down to here where the table starts. It starts with a table, and it has an end table tag, just like we expect, right? And then you have all of the stuff that goes down. And you'll notice that we have this thing called an HTML table, which is right here, an H2 tag right here. It says HTML table, right? And then we have company contract country, and it says company contract contact country. And these are TH tags, whatever that means, right? And then we have a TR tag, another table row, right? So another row. I'm going to assume TR means table row, and that is what it means. Then there's TD, table data, actually is what that means to me. Alfred F, whatever. There's Alfred's, and then Maria Anders. Now you'll notice it goes down here, but it actually lays it in 1, 2, 3. It lays it in across. So this code right here, Alfred's Maria Germany, Alfred's Maria Germany, it lays it across. Then the next row right here, Centro Francisco, Mexico, Centro Francisco, Mexico, goes across. So how's this going to work? Well, you are going to find data from your website, or steal mine if you need it, and you're going to build the table on your index HTML page. All right, let's take a look at how this assignment looks. I'm going to open up the student preview, and I'm going to open up the student workspace. And the first thing to notice is that you have an index page, and then you have a sample header. I actually gave you sample data. Don't worry about the sample data. The sample data is there so you can see what the data looks like. But I'm going to go in here, and I'm going to build this here. And I want to make sure I'm seeing it. If I ever get lost, I have mrtush.com. It's got the little HTML reference right here for tables, okay? All the data information that you need right here. And so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I can see the web page. I'm going to go to here, and that loads my web page. Remember, I went down here and I clicked on this, and now everything on my page is here. I'm going to call this, instead of calling this my page, I'm going to call it maybe my first table. All right, and then you'll see that it'll change the title to my first table. All right, we know that already. Then down here, web page. Well, that's an H1, but web page, it's kind of meaningless, right? So I'll call it my table. Now, let's see about how this has to work. I'm going to clear out this comment right here. And it's going to say, I have to start and end each table, right? That way. It says start and end each line. I can correct that. Start and end each table. So I'm going to put a table tag, and then I'm going to go down a few lines and put in a slash table. I'm sorry. And there it is. Now that's the start and end of my table. All right. Then the next thing it makes me do is it makes me put in a row. So if you look in here, it needs the table row to start and end each row. And since I'm going to actually pull this right over here, so I'll just slide so far, I'll put it here. And so for this first table row, I'm going to put in a TR tag. And I'm actually going to move it over a little bit with my tab key just to make sure it's there. And because I'm going to give myself some kind of a room, I'm going to put in the other end of that. So kind of my first row is going to say food, country, and best I've ever had, right? Because that's what it says to say. So to put it in here, I'm actually working with, if you remember, I'm working with the header. Remember, I had to use TH for this boldface stuff right here. So I'm going to go in here and I'm going to say, okay, TH, and I'm going to put in food, and then slash TH, right? And then I put in TH, and I'm going to put in country, slash TH, TH, oops, another TH, and then put in best I've ever had, and slash TH, all right? Let's see what it looks like. Food country best I've ever had. Interesting, because they're all kind of crunched together. I wonder how I'd fix that. I don't really know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go look at my sample code. And when I look at some of my sample codes, I may do something here. Down here, I have this thing called table style with 100%. Let me see what this looks like. I'm going to take a look at this. And I'll say, with 100% seems to stretch it out a little bit more. To test that, I'm going to see what happens if I change it to 50%. And then I'll run it. Look what it did. It only made the table 50% wide. So you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to steal that code. I like that code. So I'm going to go over to here, and I'm going to go back to my table, and I'm going to style, right? And then width, and 50%. See what happens. And hang on, I gotta refresh that page. I put in my semicolon right here, right? And why is that not working? What does it not like? Interesting. It says style with table style equals with colon 50%. Did I put it in the right spot? Table style with, oh, look, I have a little typo there. It's colon, not semicolon. And there it is. As soon as I get there, it is, because I had a semicolon in there instead of a colon, and it needs a colon. So we're going to take care of that way. Now, next, let's take a look at the next thing I'm going to look at. We're going to look at this whole chicken parmesan. Now, to add another row, I got to add another TR code, right? TR, right? And I'll add my /TR so I know where it lives, all right? And I'll give myself a little bit of room in there. And then I'll put in a table cell called TD, or table data, right? And it's going to say chicken parmesan and /TD, right? And then TD Italy /TD, and then TD North End, often the European, which is a bit of melancholy for me because the European burned down a few years ago, but it was a great restaurant when it existed. Let's see how it looks. Ooh, it's got it kind of nice and colonized there. I could go in and I could even add another row, and little efficiency thing, right? I have a little intact row, right? Maybe if I copy and I paste it, it'll give me the same data in the second row, which isn't very helpful, right? I'll move this in. This here, right? No, that isn't helpful. What about this blank line in here? HTML ignores the blank lines, so don't worry about the blank lines. It's just a nice way of organizing it. But I'm going to change the first to say Hagen does Belgian chocolate. And that is from Germany. Say, I think. I could be wrong on that. I think they may actually come from Belgium. They may actually just come from Brooklyn for all I know. But I know you can get it at any Hagen does. Okay. Now, if I go in, I've got the information there. It's a little bit of a wonky spacing. So one of the things I might want to do is I might want to say, okay, maybe I'm going to put in style, and I'm going to use a different code. I'm going to use this code right here called text align. It's a style, and then I'll go equals and quote text align colon center. Remember the mistake I made before? What happens? It centered that. So wow, now I like that code. I could retype it, or I can copy it, right? And go down in here. Now, let's take a look at it. I have a pretty good one there. I can use some other interesting quotes in there. And that would be kind of a cool thing to do. Or I could put in other items like pictures with this if I felt like it. So one of the things I'm going to do is, and this is just kind of a special thing that I'm going to share with you, is what if I, instead of saying where to get it, I want to put in any Haagen-Dazs store, what if instead I wanted to stick a picture in this spot right here? So right in here, any Haagen-Dazs store, I might actually want a picture. Let's go get that picture. So go right here to images. I'll go to Haagen-Dazs store. See if I get any pictures, right? Settings, hard tools, usage right, Creative Commons licenses. And there we go. So that's a Haagen-Dazs store. That's licensable. All right, so here we go. I'm going to take this one right in here, and I'm going to, and it's from Wikipedia, so it's okay. Save it as, and we're going to go to Haagen-Dazs first shop. I like that name. I'm actually just going to call it store just so that it's easier to put in place, right? And then I'm going to go back to my code, and I'm going to upload my image. I think I put it in documents. Please, I hope I put it in documents. Is it in store? There it is. I put it in documents and uploaded. So it's right in there, and it says store.jpg, right? What if I went and I put this right here, and I said, okay, remember how to put in a picture? Image, right? src equals, and then I'm going to put up my quote, store.jpg quote, all right, and then slash ending. Let's see what happens. I have to refresh the page. There it is. And of course, what's wrong with this? This is a gigantic picture, right? We know how to fix that because we learned how to do, right? We do width, all right? Width equals 500. Let's see what happens. There you go, and it shrunk it nice and proportionately. I might actually want to make that like 200 because it's really needs to be a lot smaller to fit my table. And that's a little bit better in terms of making my table. So I could put in different pictures to make my table interesting. And the last thing I'm going to show you before I upload this video is adding styles to it. You have the ability to add styles the way we showed you. But this is a little preview for anybody who wants a really cool preview of what's coming next. And that is, if you look at this, you have some clear left alignment. You also have every other line is gray, white, and all of that. And then you have some funky borders, and they're solid borders, but they're not black. They're like this grayish border. You have a number of formatting style pieces that make this cool. This is going to be next class, so I'm giving you a preview of next class. But if you want to make your table pretty, you want to make next class a little easier because you got this done quickly, you go right to here, and I want you to take a look at what they did. Over here, all of this cool styling happens in this command called style. Right here, I'm going to highlight what we're talking about. Right in here, see this section says style. This uses a different kind of language. It's a language called CSS. CSS uses a lot of the same commands HTML does, but it's called Cascading Style Sheets, and it's a way of telling your page to style without having to go line by line and putting it in at every single line. This is called a page, an inline, or a page style sheet. It's called a style sheet within a page, right? And so what happens is you have a style and you have a slash style. And in between them, you have a bunch of information that dictates what happens in this page. So for example, see where it says TD and TH? Every time there's a TD and a TH, they want a border of 1 pix, solid border of hex color DDDD. And we're going to get into all that. And just to show you what I mean, if I change this to, let's say, 4, now what happens is this should get a lot thicker. I'm going to click run, and look what happens. It's a much thicker border. What if I change this to, I happen to know the hex color for a dark red is 990000, so 990000. So I'm going to go in there. Now that's going to turn red. And there you go. You have a thick red border around this. So you can use this kind of style sheet to format your page to look a certain way. Mr. Tush, is it ethical to take code like this and kind of go to school on it and use it in mind? Yes, coders do it all the time. There are actual websites dedicated to giving you the basic code so that you can see how it works and become fluent in the code. This website, W3 Schools, is loaded with code that I want you to go in and use in your website. but be creative. Don't just copy their code. I will give you credit for bringing in their code and using it in new and creative ways. And that's what makes this special. All right. So I hope that was a helpful video for you. And we are going to, good luck with this project and turn in a super creative table. Thanks so much.